In a world of crushing pressure and absolute darkness, how does a tiny, bobbing light become the most efficient death sentence in the ocean? Why would nature design a predator that carries a living flashlight just to hunt? And is this fishing pole actually a high-tech biological weapon? 3,000 feet beneath the waves, the ocean is a cold, inky void where sunlight is a myth and food is rarer than gold. In this crushing abyss, survival isn't just about strength, it's about high-tech engineering. Meet the anglerfish, the ultimate biological architect of the deep. This isn't merely a predator with a glow stick, it's a master of complex manipulation. By hosting light-producing bacteria within its fleshy lure, it crafts a chemical beacon that mimics hope in a world of despair. From disco ball displays to hidden mousetrap jaws, we are uncovering a pinnacle of evolution that defies logic. How does a creature so strange become the most successful inventor in the dark? Let's dive into the genius behind the abyss's deadliest light. Think of the deep sea as a high-stakes real estate market where the sun never shines, and the only way to get a bright idea is to hire a professional. The anglerfish is the ultimate entrepreneur here. She doesn't actually produce light herself because, frankly, that's a lot of metabolic heavy lifting. Instead, she owns a prime piece of biological property, the esca, a specialized fleshy bulb at the end of her fishing rod. This esca is essentially a luxury studio apartment designed specifically to attract the most specialized tenants in the ocean. Bioluminescent bacteria from the Vibrionaceae family, such as Enterovibrio escacola or E. luxaltis. Now, here's the kicker. These fish aren't born with their light bulbs pre-installed. It's more like a first-come, first-served hiring process. These bacteria are floating around in the vast, freezing void of the environment, surviving on tiny energy rations called polyhydroxybutyrate, PHB, until they get the call. Once they wander into the esca through specialized pores, they sign an evolutionary contract that is both brilliant and a little terrifying. Inside this living flashlight, the magic happens through a high-end chemical reaction. The bacteria mix a molecule called luciferin with an enzyme called luciferase, and when oxygen is added to the cocktail, boom, you get a steady, eerie glow. But the anglerfish isn't just a landlord. She's a micromanager. By adjusting the oxygen supply to the esca, she acts like a living dimmer switch, controlling exactly how bright her trap shines to lure in the local tourists. In exchange for this light show, the bacteria get free room and board with a steady supply of nutrients. However, it's a bit of a golden cage. These bacteria are so committed to the gig that they've undergone an extreme 50% genome reduction, essentially deleting half their resumes because they no longer need to survive in the real world. They've become so specialized that they literally can't live anywhere else. It's the ultimate deep-sea partnership. The fish gets a deadly weapon, and the bacteria get a permanent job, even if they had to lobotomize their own DNA to keep it. Now, you might think having a glowing ball of bacteria permanently attached to your forehead is like walking through a dark alley with a neon sign that says, "Eat me." But the anglerfish is far more sophisticated than a common street lamp. This isn't just a random, uncontrollable glow. It is a high-tech, dimmable, biological flashlight. The genius lies in the battery management. As we've seen, the light is a byproduct of a chemical reaction requiring oxygen. To control this, the anglerfish has evolved the ultimate biological dimmer switch, its own circulatory system. By meticulously restricting or flooding the esca with oxygen-rich blood, the fish can turn the glow up for a full-blown come-hither rave or kill the power entirely when a bigger, hungrier predator wanders by. It's essentially a life-or-death game of red light, green light, played in a world of total shadow. But wait, the engineering gets even more NASA-level intense. Just letting light leak out in every direction would be a massive waste of metabolic currency, and in the deep sea, You don't overspend if you want to survive. To solve this, the Esca is lined with specialized reflective tissues made of guanine crystals. Think of this as the silvered interior of a high-end tactical flashlight. These crystals act as mirrors, focusing and directing the light outward to maximize its visibility to potential victims. In species like the Pacific football fish, these crystalline structures are so advanced they can actually manipulate the light's wavelength, creating a disco ball effect that changes colors to create a more enticing optical display. From my perspective, this isn't just an accidental quirk of nature. It's a precision-engineered weapon. The fish isn't just glowing, it's performing optical manipulation. By adjusting the intensity and focus, it can customize its lure for specific clientele. A faint, rhythmic pulse might attract a cautious shrimp, while a steady, focused beam could mesmerize a larger fish from dozens of meters away. It is the ultimate psychological trap, giving the prey just enough light to see a snack, but never enough to see the rows of inward-pointing teeth waiting right behind it. It's not just a fish, it's a master of the dark arts with a PhD in optical physics. Just when you thought the anglerfish had reached its limit for being extra, science goes and discovers that these creatures are basically running a high-end visual effects studio 3,000 feet below the surface. We've known about their bioluminescent light bulbs for a century, but a recent look at a rare Pacific football fish, Haemantulophus sagamius, affectionately nicknamed spiny baby cakes by the internet, revealed a whole new level of optical trickery: biofluorescence. Now, don't get these two confused. Bioluminescence is like a flashlight that makes its own power. Biofluorescence is more like a neon poster that only glows under a black light. In the case of the Pacific football fish, the black light is actually the blue light coming from the bacteria in its own lure. Researchers found that the stalk of the lure, or the elysium, is covered in tiny biofluorescent crystalline structures. These crystals are like biological filters. They absorb the high-energy blue light produced by the bacteria and remix it, re-emitting it as a ghostly, vibrant green. The result? What scientists literally describe as an amazing disco ball of light. Imagine a pitch-black abyss where a single blue orb is suddenly flanked by shimmering green rays reflecting off silvery, tentacle-like appendages. It's the deep sea's version of a laser light show, and frankly, it's a bit much for a fish that doesn't even have a mirror. But why go through the trouble of a multicolor light display in a place where most things can barely see? This disco ball effect serves a very dark purpose: optical complication. By shifting colors and creating a complex array of glimmering blues and greens, the anglerfish makes its lure look like something else entirely. Perhaps a cluster of tiny, delicious organisms, or a mesmerizing call to a potential mate. It's a sensory overload designed to hijack the simple brains of deep-sea squid and fish. By the time they've finished admiring the aesthetic of the green crystalline glow, they're already halfway down a throat lined with inward-pointing teeth. It turns out the deep sea has a very strict dress code. If you look too good, you're probably on the menu. If you thought evolution would settle on just one fishing rod design, you clearly haven't met the Serratioidea suborder. This isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. It's more like a biological arms race where every species has patented its own specialized tackle box. In the resource-poor void of the bathypelagic zone, where your next meal might be miles away, having a generic lure is a great way to go extinct. So, nature went into full R&D mode, testing out designs that range from the absurdly long to the dangerously sneaky. Take the genus Gigantactus, for example, the overachievers of the abyss. These fish sport an elysium, or fishing rod, that can reach up to 5 times the length of their own bodies. Imagine walking around with a 30-foot glowing pole attached to your forehead just to find a sandwich. It's a bold strategy that allows them to fish in a completely different zip code while keeping their vulnerable bodies safely tucked away in the shadows. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the Onerodes, which prefer a more compact, bulbous setup, perfect for close quarters deception. But the award for Most Terrifying Dinner Theater goes to Thaumaticthys, also known as the Wonderfish. While most anglerfish dangle their bait out front like a neon "open" sign, Thaumaticthys decided that was too mainstream. Instead, it hides its glowing esca right inside the roof of its massive, cavernous mouth. It doesn't just attract prey, it literally invites them into the lobby of the hotel they'll never leave. This species features a specialized jaw that functions like a living Venus flytrap, snapping shut the moment a curious visitor touches the internal light. This staggering diversity proves that evolution has been beta testing different configurations for millions of years. Whether it's a long-distance rod or a hidden mousetrap, these aren't random quirks. They are precision-engineered optimizations. In a world with zero light and almost zero food, these fish have turned fishing into a high-stakes masterclass in survival engineering. Imagine you're a small, hungry, deep-sea shrimp. You see a light. You follow it. Suddenly you realize you're not just near a light, you're actually inside a room, and that room just turned into a biological blender. Welcome to the world of Thaumaticthys, the fish that looked at a Venus flytrap and said, "I can do that, but wetter and way more terrifying." While most anglerfish keep their lures outside like a neon sign on a sidewalk, Thaumaticthys is the guy who invites you into the lobby before slamming the vault door. Its lure, or esca, hangs directly from the roof of its mouth. It's essentially the deep-sea version of a free snacks sign inside a windowless van. To make this work, evolution had to get extremely creative with the plumbing. The upper jaws, or premaxillaries, are massive, overhanging the lower jaw and hinged so they can rotate nearly 180 degrees downward. It is a precision-engineered, living mousetrap, powered by some of the most well-developed jaw muscles in the abyss. But the real genius is the wolf trap dental plan. We're talking 6 rows of long, conical, recurved teeth designed with one singular goal: zero escape. Mechanically, this is a fascinating trade-off. In the deep-sea arms race, you're either a crusher or a snapper. Some species go for a slow, forceful bite. Think of a hydraulic press that takes its time but ensures the job is done. Others opt for the lightning-fast wolf trap snap. These jaws are weak on crushing power but unmatched in speed, acting like a biological cage that springs shut the millisecond the prey touches the light. And the best part? The upper jaw does all the heavy lifting. Because it keeps the prey pinned against the roof of the mouth, the lower jaw can stay open to keep pumping water over the gills. It's the ultimate in efficient, horrifying multitasking. The fish doesn't even have to hold its breath while it's eating you. It's not just a predator, it's a high-speed containment system with a built-in nightlight. Finally, let's talk about the deep seas version of the world's most extreme, long-term relationship. In many anglerfish species, the female's hunting system is so efficient that the males have essentially decided to retire early, permanently. These tiny males are born without a lure of their own, equipped only with massive nostrils and one singular mission: find a glowing female before they starve. When they finally find a light in the window, they don't just ask for a date. They bite into her skin and refuse to let go. Through a process called sexual parasitism, their tissues fuse and their circulatory systems merge until they are sharing the exact same bloodstream. It's a biological merger that would make a corporate lawyer weep. The male eventually loses his eyes, his fins, and even his own stomach because he no longer needs to see, swim, or digest his own food. Why bother keeping a kitchen when you're permanently plugged into a 24/7 walking buffet? He essentially shrinks into a tiny, reproductive machine, a permanent passenger fueled entirely by the nutrients the female captures using her light. Evolutionarily, her lure is so reliable that the male gives up his entire independence just to be a stowaway on the abyss's most successful fishing vessel. It's the ultimate surrender to the power of the lure. The anglerfish isn't just a deep-sea horror story, she's a biological masterpiece. By seamlessly integrating microbiology, precision optics, and mousetrap jaws, she has turned a crushing void into a private, high-tech hunting ground. It is a spectacular evolutionary achievement that proves life doesn't just survive in the harshest conditions, it innovates. However, the recent eerie appearances of the black sea devil near the sunny shores of Tenerife serve as a sobering reality check. We often treat the abyss as a separate planet, but as climate change begins to rattle the deep sea's thermostat, these light bearers are surfacing to remind us that the ocean is a single, fragile system. In the end, these creatures are the ultimate proof that even in the most soul-crushing darkness, life will always find a way to shine. Quite literally. If you were stranded in the midnight zone, which of the anglerfish's biological gadgets would you want the most to survive? And does the discovery of these monsters near the surface make you more curious about the deep? Or do you think some things are better left in the dark? If this journey into the abyss brightened your day, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep sea secrets. Share this with a friend who thinks fishing is just for humans.